Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode on my Segway Fugleman, or I should say my wife's Segway Fugleman. I wish it was mine. I like this thing. Really wanting a villain after having it. Last video, I promised a topside video. Here it is. One of the things I mentioned, it's super tall. I think Segway says it's 81 inches, and now with the 30-inch bighorns, I mean, it's probably 83 inches, like 84 is 7 feet. So it's tall. It's way above my head. I'm looking up there. I'm a short guy. But really liking this machine. I like all the little features that I'm seeing all over it. The expandability, the ability to bolt stuff to it. Even like the valve stem caps, okay? They've got a built-in valve core tool on them, on every one of them. So you can just flip them over and pop the valve core out if you want to. Super cool. Oh, here's a better topside view of the engine. Let me turn a light on here for everybody. Oh, there's that updated exhaust. It's like a dual wall thing. There's a pipe inside of that pipe. There's the intake for the clutch right there. I'll go over and show you the air filter. There's the intake. Another super cool thing. The oil filter really accessible. The super cool thing is there's drains on everything. There's drains on the bottom of that intake plenum. There's some massive clutch tubes over there. I'll show you. There's drains in them. Like it's made to, if you waterlog it, you can drain everything out. The forethought of everything is super cool as far as that goes. I'll walk around over, and let's go this way. So, have yet to use the winch. It's a 4,500 pounder though. Machine's like 1,650 curb weight, so should be pretty good. I've seen on some of the online stuff though, this plate right here bends. Probably reinforce it or something before it does. There's the Super ATV windshield. I don't know why, like this roof is made obviously for a windshield to go over it, but the instructions in the Super ATV put it under it. I don't know. I don't understand some of the stuff they do. Some of the stuff's pretty good. Some of the stuff, I don't know. Just leave it at that. One thing I noticed, this machine did not come with a belt tool. Really don't like that. It comes with a pretty extensive toolkit in there, but a belt tool is not one of them. So me being the mechanic guy here, I am over here with clutches off and everything else. I devised a way to get the belt off it. To replace the air filter is super easy. 3 clips on this little thing. Pops that cap off. Slides the air filter right out. Flat air filter. That's the intake for the engine. There's the one for the clutch. The clutch has massive tubes on it. Like, that's a big tube. The front tube is huge. So, and it's got that one up there that ducts to the back of the primary. And there's another one right up in there that ducts to the back of the secondary. A lot of cooling in there. It is a plastic belt housing, so if you blow a belt in this thing, it's probably going to blow it up, just like a Can-Am. Let's see what else I can show you. Well, I'll show you what I did to get the belt off of it. And a belt tool is actually not that easy to find for these. I was finding them like Segway of Belgium and all that, but so it takes a Can-Am style of belt tool where it threads in there, but the Can-Am one won't fit. I tried that. It's a little bit too big and a little bit too coarse to thread. But all you're looking to do is press in on this helix right here to spread the sheaves out so you can get the belt off. So I pulled the bolt out of it. Here's the bolt right here. Again, you know, it's a hex and a Torx, so 2 ways to get that off if you strip one way. You see that a lot on this machine. That's super awesome. So I just grabbed some random junk I had around the garage. This spacer fit on there. And then this stuff fit over that. This bolt is the same size as the thread there. You've got to be careful. Make sure, you know, the bolt engages 3 or 4 threads worth before it starts pulling on this. You don't want to jack up the threads in your transmission if you're going to do this like this. But I just come up with some random junk, and it pulled that in enough to get the belt off. Has a Gates belt on it. Definitely be getting a spare. I am the destroyer of belts. These aren't all from this thing. This is from a drag race Can-Am 400 plus horsepower deal. You'll see that on the channel. I've got all kind of projects over here. Excuse my shop, guys. It's trashed. I've got my side-by-side shop uptown. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos up there. I think the lighting's better and everything. This is my home garage, and I've got projects everywhere. But my son Philip drag races this. We're going to be doing lots of stuff to this. Some 2-stroke stuff. Pipe, bigger carb. You know, maybe a little bit of porting, top-end rebuild. I'll cover that stuff. But back to the Fugleman. The clutch looks really good. Go check out my last video. Please like and subscribe. Check out my future videos. But the clutch looks pretty good. Easy to change rollers. Just, you know, fold the tabs over there, locking that bolt, and pop it out. I'm going to pop one of these out. I'm really hoping that's like the same as a Can-Am roller, because I've got tons of those all over the place. That would be super cool. I did notice with the 30s, it needs some help in the clutching department now. It kind of did before. I'm going to just, the G-Boost makes a spring kit for it, stiffer springs, so it'll up the engagement a little bit. It'll slow down the shifting of the secondary, make it run a little higher RPM, which it needs. One thing I noticed, and I don't know that you can get helixes for these. I'm going to check into it, but it's got the helix angle on there. It's a straight 36 is what it's looking like. I'd like to see a progressive on it. It would hold RPM as it, you know, shifts out up top a little better. But we're going to try just that spring kit. I think that'll do wonders. It'll make the secondary grip the belt harder. It'll make it shift out a little slower, so it'll keep the RPMs up. We're going to do that, see what that does before we get too crazy. They do make a belt tool for this that looks just like the Can-Am one, you know, with the screw-in deal, and then cam it over and it pushes in on it. So I'll order that if I can find one in the United States. If not, I've devised a way to do it. I'd rather have a way to do it without having to pull the secondary bolt every time. G-Boost makes a belt. I thought I seen somewhere where G-Boost was making the belts for the factory ones. Maybe they do now. But this is a Gates. I've seen both replacements online. They're not that much money. I mean, they are. These belts are expensive. They're $130, $150, but that's the average price for a side-by-side belt. The box, I mean, it's got these really nice bed rails that you're going to have to buy extra for almost any machine. It's got tie-downs. It's got places for like Polaris does the lock and ride deals. I'm pretty sure you can get deals that lock in there, but it's got plenty of places to tie stuff down in the bed already. Now we'll get into the part that everybody likes about this thing. It's that big old screen right there. More of me tearing it apart too. I've just got this cover off right here. That's what this is right here. I'm just looking to see. The one thing my wife and I both don't like, I like these doors. These doors are really nice. You know, they're double thick. They're pretty sweet. But you got to reach down quite a ways to grab that to open it. And I want to build some hard upper windows for this thing that just kind of drop into it. That I can pull out in the summer, drop in the winter. We do a lot of winter riding. And then obviously you're not going to be able to open the door from the outside. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. The newer ones of these I've seen have an exterior door handle. It's right on the back here. I'd love to find some of those doors to just put on this. That would solve it all. I'm not sure if those also have an interior handle. I would hope they do. But right now you got to reach down in there like that. Here's that multi-function switch I talked about in my last video. It's got the horn, the lights, and that'll be your turn signals once you install the turn signal kit. So, turns high beams, low beams. Go around and show you the lights real quick here. The lights work pretty good. And it's probably hard to see it in the phone, but they've got an LED strip along the bottom, kind of like a brow thing. And then your regular headlight. I did notice that inside light right there doesn't work on these. I'm guessing that's probably the turn signal. I'll see when I get that kit. One thing I thought was super cool. Pop this up. Fuse box, easy to get at. That, coming from the automotive mechanic world, that's an OBD2 connector. Every car that's sold in the United States, 1996 or newer, has to have that. This has it. So, and any OBD2 scanner, from what I've read on the internet, will work on this. So you don't need to have a special scanner for this. I just break out my automotive scanner and away we go. That's the T-Box. I have heard of some earlier ones having some issues with those. That's the thing that does all your Bluetooth and satellite, you know, for the navigation and everything. This one seems to work. We'll go back around to the inside. I'm going to unpower this thing and power it back up so you can see what all it does. One cool thing, we just got that working today. So when you put the app on your phone and you put your phone as the master in here, you can do what's called an airlock, and you don't even need the key. So we did my wife's phone. I don't have it out here right now, but you can pull the key right out of this and then get onto that app and then hit the power button. Everything powers up. You can start the machine. You can drive it without a key. So that's super cool. A lot of times, if we're down to one car, if I'm working on one of our cars, my wife works at the school right uptown. So if she takes the car to work, but then I end up needing to go somewhere, I'll run the side-by-side up there and drop it off. We're allowed to drive them on the roads here. And I'll take the car. So then she drives the side-by-side home. So when we do that, like, I don't even need to stash the key in anywhere, give her the key. I can just take the key. She can come out, start it with her phone, drive it home. So I wondered what this button was. It's just a kill button. It kills all the ignition, the fuel pump, everything. And I couldn't figure out why have a kill button when you got a key there. Well, then it started to make sense. When you're driving it without the key, you need a way to shut it off. So flip that red button. That's how you shut it off when you're driving it in that mode. This is your parking brake. That's your DOT legal parking brake I talked about. Problem I had with it, the start-stop button, it must have had water in it or something. Every time it got cold, it froze up when I got it home to Michigan. I robbed the button out of my Can-Am X3. It was almost the same button, except it just said start instead of start-stop. I did have to cut the electrical pigtail off it and swap it over with one from the Segway button, but I think I'm going to leave that in there. I'll just get another button from my Can-Am. It works fine. So, tilt wheel. Tons of storage all under the dash. Cup holders right there. That's got a big glove box. I'll get into that when I go over on the other side and show you some other stuff. But right now, so when you fire this thing up, first this goes into its little demo showing all three of their vehicles they've got. And then this one. This is a big, this screen is a full 10 inches, guys. Okay, I know a lot of guys say that, but this one really is. So, It does its little thing where it shows the Snarler, the Villain, and the Fugleman. And then it'll switch over to your different features. I may have to open my garage door here to get this thing to pick up on a map. So there's your maps. A lot of times it starts out in Africa for some reason. It actually is one time it started me out in China, and I think it looked like the Fugleman factory where it started me out at. Like I zoomed in on it, and you could see a bunch of side-by-sides around this big building, and it was in China. So that was kind of weird. But, I mean, this is a Chinese-made side-by-side, guys, but it's the best one I've ever seen. I've worked on Hisons, Massimos. Oh, Massimos are Hisons. All that cheap China stuff, it doesn't even compare to this thing. Not at all. And there again, I work on a lot of Can-Ams. Drag race Can-Am. Work on a lot of Polarises, Yamaha R-Maxes, pretty much everything. So I've seen it. Most all of it. Worked on it, driven it. So sometimes when you fire this thing up, like right now it's showing Chinese. It's kind of weird. But it switches over. I'll show you some other functions. So this is like the vehicle dynamics. This is a tilt meter. It actually works really good. I'll try to rock it. Like that goes along with it and whatnot. It graphs down here a red line for the power you used. You can switch it over to speed or your acceleration. Some driving data. It will track your accumulated mileage, your average speed, your top speed you went on the ride, and all that. Kind of useless information, but cool. Like if you like to play with that kind of stuff. So there's your system setup. Bluetooth in your phone to it. It's got a radio tuner, but none of them come with speakers. You can buy speakers to hook up to it. It's set up like in the dash. If you look here, it's set up for accessories. Like that looks like where a defrost vent would go. You pop that out. That might be a heater vent. Could be a speaker. I don't know. I know you can buy speakers for it. You can just get a sound bar and Bluetooth it to this, and it'll run your tuner through it, or your storage device, or hook your phone up, your Spotify or your whatever. It also will run. I don't have my phone connected to it right now, but it'll take calls. Hook your phone up to it through Bluetooth. We'll go back to the maps and see if we're out of China and St. Helen, Michigan here. Here we go. So, yep, this is right where my house is at. Down here is Lake St. Helen. This is a little boat canal where we keep our boat. Got a boat slip there deeded to our house. You can change this. Like, that's the lighted street version. You can go. Okay, that's your satellite version. And you just go like that. It always wants to keep zooming back into the machine. But there's the lake. There's town. Here's where the Fugleman's at. Pretty cool. I really would like to figure out how to get apps on this, and I don't know if it's possible. It'd be sweet to get Ride Command and all that on it. I'm not sure if that is possible. We're going to look into it more. We just got this thing working. Somebody else was on as the master from the dealership, so my wife had to email Segway. But they got right back with us. They fixed it. They unlocked it, so we were able to get it all in there. Pretty sure you can... we've got to look through all of it. Like I say, it was just today we got it working. You can have this thing alert your phone if it moves. So for kind of man theft, you can track it if it gets stolen. So that's super sweet. I read somewhere, I've got to look into this too, like it's got that, tip sensor on there for the vehicle dynamics. So I think you can even set it up to like alert the master phone, set an alert to it if the vehicle rolls over. So, I mean, that's super cool if you can. I haven't tried this yet, Don't quote me on it, but if you got kids out riding it or something, it'd be good to know if they rolled it over. Probably wouldn't be good for my wife to know that I was out and rolled it over and rolled her machine before I even got home with it. Wouldn't even have a chance to hide it. But anyway, this display is also super cool. Let me try to turn my light off here so it's not glaring on there so much. This has got a lot of info on it. When you hit your four-wheel drive switch, that will change to on-off right there. It's not doing it. I don't have the car running right now. So it does flash and also turn the diff red when you put it in lock. So that's in diff lock. Switch over here. This is the only thing I've seen on it that does remind me of China side-by-side, because this looks exactly like a switch that would be in a Hyson or something, but I've never seen a problem with those switches in the Hysons. They seem to work good. So you push that in to unlock it. Then you can flip that over here. Then you turn that for the four-wheel drive off. That is not going out like it usually does, but I'm not driving it down the road either, so. Lots of information on there. It does have also a sport economy switch and an override switch. So it's got a kind of a rev limiter if it's in diff lock or if it's in reverse. If you need a little more power when you're in one of those two modes, like if you're plowing, you can hit that. This is USBs in here. So that's cool. And your standard 12 volts down there. I'm going to look into the shifter. It is a little stiff shifting. I'm going to lube that up, lube the linkage up, try to get that freed up some, especially when it's cold. It's a brand new machine too, so I might have to just wear in some. But yeah, super cool in here. Tons of headroom with that tall roof, even though the seat in it sits tall too. Like you're sitting up here, you feel like you're in a lifted truck. We're at just at 100 miles on it. And we'll go around to the other side. So this is that door setup, the latch here. And then it pulls this rod way back here for that. I'd really like to find a way to do that from the outside. Love to find just a set of those newer doors. Actually, maybe I can show you those. Because on the map, if you can see that right there, that's the newer Fugleman. See that door handle on the outside? I'd really like to have that. That dealership also had one in this color scheme. It didn't have these doors on it that I could have got, but a guy had bought it, took it home for 2 weeks. It had like 80 miles on it. It had a big old gouge out of the white paint in the side of the box. You could tell it had been used. I couldn't believe somebody could do as much scrapes and chips in this thing as somebody did in 2 weeks and 80 miles, but he did. Really sharp looking unit though with that color scheme. And I'd love to have those doors with that door handle on it right there. But other than that, let's go around to the other side. I'll show you some of the features. Now I can shut this door so I don't need the antenna hooked up. I'll pop that hood back on there after the video. Oh, we gotta reach way down here again for the door. That secondary bolt was tight, boy. First I tried the little impact 3/8 didn't work. So my next closest one to me was this 1/2-inch DeWalt. That wouldn't pull it out. So I had to get the big dog 1/2-inch Makita. That pulls everything out, or it breaks it out. So that pulled it out. Luckily, it didn't break it out. Like I said, tons of storage. I think I'm just going to hang a heater either under here. Like, that's a huge space in the center that we don't need for anything. This thing can be super easy to put a heater in. I don't know what these things are in the back of these compartments, but it looks like some sort of lock thing, like you'd put a rubber grommet in. and then pop accessories in and out of there. That's the kind of, thought I'm seeing all over this thing. So that's probably what that is. That'd be super cool. I haven't seen any accessories that pop in there like that, but that looks like that's designed for that. Bench seat. This is the whole reason we bought this machine. We didn't want a long four-seater. We wanted to be able to take Philip along, our 7-year-old son. So this is how we ended up with this machine, because it has this bench seat. It keeps you planted in it pretty good, even though it's a bench. I'm going to try to put some 5-point harnesses in there because, we do get out and get rowdy on the trail with this thing sometimes. I just want something to, make us feel snug and in that seat. But for being a bench seat, just flat, it does pretty well. This storage compartment here is huge. My friends are going to love this. I really hope my racing friends are going to see this. Bam! Yep. Hater Maker got his fire extinguisher. There it is. And this compartment's huge. I could fit 3 fire extinguishers in there. If you know me, I probably should have 3 in there. But anyway, yeah, this compartment's super big. Another cool thing about it, pops right out. Bam. Now you got a suitcase, carry along, whatever. It just pops right out of there. Make sure your seatbelt's not in the way. It pops right back in pretty easily as well. I might pop it in when I've got 2 hands. Oh, there it goes. Hang on just a second. There you go. So it just pops off those grommets there. And it's got hooks on the bottom. So that's cool. Tons of storage, like I said. 3 cup holders, all this stuff. Big glove box. Well, let's go through some stuff in the glove box before I pop the seat. There's your Fugleman manual. This is weird. This is I don't know what model this is because it has the winch and the beadlocks, but it's got netted doors. If it was an X model with those, it usually should have the solid doors. So I don't know. There's that color scheme again, though. It is pretty sweet. There's your, your owner's manual, tools and accessories. One thing I don't see in there, Segway. Where's my belt tool? You got to have a belt tool with a CVT belt machine. You just got to provide it with it. Those other clutches, the newer ones I talked about in the last video, the newer Fugleman's, Villains, everything comes with CV Tech. That comes with just, it's like a Polaris style belt tool. It's an L-shaped bolt. You just got to screw it into the secondary. So that's super easy. But this style of clutch, you do need that puller. And it's not provided that I've seen anywhere. That's the paperwork on the winch. I've talked about what we paid for this thing. I found this in the glove box. So MSRP $16,700. This is tagged as a demo. This had 3 miles on it. But so I imagine they got them as demos. This is DSRP, and that must be dealer suggested retail. So they must have got them at a deal, and that's what Segway said they should sell them at. We paid a lot less than that for this machine. It was $9,700 with taxes and a few fees, $11,126, I think, out the door. With that being said, not everybody's going to get one for that. After having it, I wouldn't have a problem paying the $16,699, but the 6-seater they just came out with, I've seen those are $16,900. And that's for the premium one with steel doors and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So, I mean, the prices on these things are not bad. Definitely not bad what I paid for it, but well worth that, honestly. Right there, you can see where it says Florida purchase. Like I said, I drove from Michigan to Florida. There's a dealer in Michigan, Fox Power Sports, that sells these. They were even showing some 2022s like this. Some of them had a few miles on them, just like some of the ones in Florida, 30, 40 miles. So they were probably these demos. They were trying to hit me at like 17 grand out the door for one, something stupid. I think they did come down to 16 something, but nowhere near where I got this thing for. So made it worth it to drive to Florida. I've seen Ride Now in Alabama, I think, they've got one of these for like 8,700, and they've got a Villain, 72-inch Villain for like 12,700. Like, you go down there and get two for 20 grand, 21 grand. That's nuts. So that's that. The toolkit, it does got a lot of cool stuff in there, but I don't want to dump this all out. But it's got pliers, screwdriver, spark plug wrench, 8, 10, 13, 15 millimeter wrenches, shock wrench, tire pressure gauge. Pretty extensive toolkit, but doesn't have a belt tool. I don't like that. This glove box is giant, though. I actually had that fire extinguisher in here, but I figured if we rolled it, this was just going to pop open and somebody was going to take a fire extinguisher to the face. I'm going to mount that fire extinguisher somewhere. After past experiences, I'd rather have one than not. So we just got this thing. I haven't mounted it yet. I threw it in there. So my friend Dave's going to love the fire extinguisher talk if he sees this. That's great. But anyway, seat pops off. Super easy. It just pops up. Then you pop this thing up. Giant area under here. All the newer ones come with a 5.5 gallon box that fits in here, because this isn't totally sealed. Like, your stuff's going to get dirty. I threw a snowsuit in here for a winter ride we went on, and then ended up all dirty and wet. So you do want that box in here, but there's a giant area of storage. I could put my heater in here and just have it, blowing out that right there. All your electronics is right here. There's your battery. That's a Bosch ME17 ECU. It's a different case than like what Can-Am uses, but that same ECU that comes in a Can-Am X3 and multiple Can-Ams and other brands of power sports. Same deal. Like I said, I'm going to get that tune from MSC, Main Street Cycle. You can get a map tuner for this. I don't know who all has tunes for it, but MSC really kind of, their videos informed me enough to be able to, feel comfortable driving to Florida, never seeing one of these things. So I want to pay those guys back, do some business with them. Plus, they showed theirs on a dyno. It was legit 14 horsepower at the wheels that it picked up. So that's good. Really good. If you did want to do a heat in here, there's your tubes right there. So super easy. There's your drive shaft center bearing right there if you need to service it. There's that giant clutch tube right there. I mean, everything's super easy to service. There's your fuel pump right there if you got to get at it. Yeah, I'm super impressed with everything on this machine so far. There's a few little quirky things, but I find that with every machine I've ever had any experience with. Honda, Yamaha, Polaris, Can-Am, whatever. Honda. I don't think I said Honda. But they've all got issues. Every one of them. This one's got a few little ones. Most of them are easy to correct. So everybody loves that giant display. I'm starting to love it now that we've got the maps and everything working on it. It is super cool. I wish it was easier to just put different apps on. We've got to figure that out some more. We'll do some more videos on that, but man, I'll tell you what, guys, even for the 16 grand, you can't beat this thing. You just can't, really. If you're looking for this sort of thing, I'd really like a Villain. They have the Super Villain coming out. It's not totally released yet. They've had it at some shows. That thing's 230 horse, turbo 4-cylinder, with the optional hybrid that adds another 100 horse, so it's 300. So that's cool, but it's a giant car, real wide. It's like a desert dune car. It's not really for what we do around here. I'd love to see like a 64 and a 72-inch just Villain with more than 105 horsepower, make it get down with like 200 horsepower. I'd love to see one of these with 200 horsepower, maybe a little longer, a little wider. So Segway, if you're out there, hear me out. 72-inch Fugleman, supercharged or turbocharged. Supercharged, I feel, would be better for something like this. There's power right off the bottom. There's no spool time or anything. It would be super cool. Chop the roof line down a little. Give it some power. Give it a little bit more stance, a little wider, a little longer. Would be awesome. Would compete with that new Kawasaki Ridge too. Super happy with it again, guys. Please like, subscribe. We'll be doing all kinds of stuff on the Segways and on all kinds of other stuff. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.